Okay, so now we're going to use some of these theorems we've been working on to find a polynomial from the information that we're given. Okay, so this problem says find a fourth degree polynomial. That means n is going to equal 4. Okay, so it means you could have 4 zeros, you could have 4 factors. That's what needs to happen. All right, so find a fourth degree polynomial with real coefficients that has zeros of, and then they give us these zeros, -3, 2, and I. Now that's only 3 zeros, and we need 4 zeros. But from the complex conjugate theorem, if I is a 0, then -I is also a 0. Okay, so I is an imaginary number, and so it's a complex number in a plus bi form where b is not 0, and therefore its conjugate is also a 0. -I is a 0. Okay, then we also have this information here that we're going to use. F of -2 is equal to 100. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say our polynomial f of x is equal to a. Remember, there's some constant that could have been factored out of the whole polynomial, and we'll figure out what that a is, but not just yet. Okay, for each 0 then there's a factor of x minus k for every k that's a 0. So we'll have x minus a -3, or x plus 3 is going to be a factor. X minus 2 is going to be a factor. X minus I is going to be a factor. And then x plus I is going to be a factor. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, well, I'm not. I'm going to multiply. I'm going to multiply these two factors here because I know I'm going to be able to get rid of the I, the imaginary part. So I'm going to say f of x equals a times x plus 3 times x minus 2 times, it's going to be x squared minus I squared, or if we simplify that, it's going to be x squared plus 1. So remember, I squared is equal to -1. So we're replacing -1 in for the I squared, and that's going to give us x squared plus 1. Okay, so I've got a start to my polynomial. I'm going to have to multiply it out eventually, but I'm going to go ahead and find what a is right now because I think it'll be easier. So we said f of -2, so f of -2 is equal to a times, now remember you're putting in -2 for x, so -2 plus 3 times -2 minus 2 times -2 squared plus 1. But we know that f of -2 is equal to 100, so 100 is going to equal a times 1 times -4 times 4 plus 1, which is 5. So what's that going to be? -20a is going to equal 100. So if you divide both sides by -20, you're going to get a equals -5. Okay, now I want to take this polynomial that I had, and I'm going to try to find the whole polynomial in terms of f of x, or in terms of x. So f of x equals a, which is -5, times x plus 3 times x minus 2 times x squared plus 1. Now, how you multiply that out, that's kind of up to you. I'm going to go ahead and multiply these two binomials first. So I'm going to get x squared. It's going to wind up being plus x minus 6. If you multiply that out with FOIL and simplify it, that's what you'll get. And then I'm going to multiply the binomial in the back here times the trinomial. I'll get x to the 4th. So I'm going to multiply x squared times each of these terms. And that's going to give me, let's see, x to the 4th plus x cubed minus 6x squared. And then I have to do the 1 times each of them. So plus x squared plus x minus 6 And if I simplify, I'm going to have x to the fourth plus x cubed minus 5x squared plus x minus 6. And then the last thing I need to do is distribute that negative 5 in. So here comes my polynomial, f of x equals negative 5x to the fourth minus 5x cubed plus 25x squared. So I'm multiplying and distributing here. Minus 5x plus 30. So that was that negative 5 times negative 6. And then that's the polynomial they asked us to find. It's fourth degree, and that's what it looks like.